The most richest place in the world is actually the graveyard, a cemetery. And why? Because cemetery are people whose dream never came true. Nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself, and the world needs you. In our journey, we stop by different places, and probably where we stop by is an example of the goal we achieve. Right? So the interesting thing about purpose is, it's bigger than yourself. It's the way you think and you reset your mindset. If you don't learn, you are always outdated. The world is going fast, so you got to have this and learn every single day.
Welcome back to another episode of the Limitless podcast. Today I'm in the beauty of Maldives at LUX South Ari Atoll resorts. And I'm here with Afeef Hussain, who I'm sure many who are familiar with the Maldives knows. He's a speaker, a mentor, someone who's constantly giving back to his community. And today we find him in the Wanderlust Library in the Maldives at LUX. Afeef, a warm welcome to you. How are you?
Thank you. Yeah, very good, very good. Thank you. I'm glad that we can find some time to talk to your hundreds and thousands of audience of people who listens to the Limitless podcast. I believe you probably have over 300. Is it the 300 podcast? So episodes. I'm glad I could do this. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. And what a beautiful setting here. Tell us about this library.
Yeah, this library is quite a unique space because it used to be, because you see at LUX, we always look at how we can give a better experience for our guests, our guests. And we don't want to be like a resort that just have rooms and restaurants and spa or water sports for that matter. But so this used to be a buggy stand where the guests will wait for the buggy. Mm-hmm. And in 2016, we're looking at how can we add little spots on the island that make a big difference? Mm. And everything that was built in this library is all recycled. The glass sheets like here, this was all taken from another building that we were demolishing at the time. Of course, the books are new, we bought it. So, so it's because in many hotels you have a library in the lobby or in the business center where most of the books is full of dust. Nobody reads it because it's not in a location that inspires people to read. But I think here it is, people are inspired to read it. So and then of course in LUX, the same thing has been replicated now. So in all LUX properties.
That's wonderful, and I know that you are a big fan of the learning mindset, and you're encouraging also your team members to grow. And you read books yourself.
Yes. I do. I read a lot every year, about 50 plus books. I do my best to read. I'm reading the book you recommended. I started this morning, the AI-driven leader. So far it's good.
Fantastic. Yeah. And we are in an era now where there's so much disruptions, there's so much changes.
Yeah,
you got to stay on top of it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I think the one factor that determines your level of leadership is the mindset you carry around lifelong learning. If you don't learn, you are always outdated. The world is going fast, so you gotta have this and learn every single day, and it has to be non-stop.
And that learning mindset, I know, is something that you've been talking about a lot. So when it comes to your team, how can you instill your team to also pick up a learning mindset?
Yeah, I think there's two parts. That one is how do you create the team members to have the learning mindset, and the other part is how do you create the learning organization, right? Which is obviously learning organization is a fancy term we use in the world of HR, but I think the learning mindset comes from really not just conducting training per se, I think, but it's really doing sessions in a way that the team members will remember what they learn and constantly doing it in a regular basis. So, because sometimes in our industry, we or maybe in different industries, we tend to do orientation for new employees when they arrive, and thereafter there's nothing else happens. But here there's a series of sessions. You got to really create a culture around it. And once you have a culture, people will find many opportunities to learn. So here, for example, we have several learning journeys we have created for our members, learning pathways. I think once you have that, the organization becomes learning when its people learn what they are supposed to learn and when they apply it. And I think you become a learning organization when others can see they are applying what they are learning, changing the behaviors. Now, as simple as it could be learning from mistakes or innovation, right? I think those are the some of the organizational metrics one can see from distance.
Mm.
Yeah.
And where does this learning mindset come from? Have you always been curious? If we go back to your childhood, or when did it start?
I think I was always quite fascinated by what other people does. So when I see newspapers, when I see, I think the first books that I had physical, in terms of physical copies to read, was the Reader's Digest. So I used to be a fan that collects Reader's Digest from other people, and I remember when some of my teachers back when they would go to India for holiday and they come back, they would bring Reader's Digest. So I would have them with me and read it. So that was my first source of learning. I was fascinated by what other countries are doing, what other people are doing. So I think the mindset is created by being curious about what other people are doing. And it's not limiting yourself to what you already know. Like, for example, though this resort is so beautiful, it's in the middle of nowhere. So you can really have a very peaceful, relaxed time in this place if you're walking or even as a guest. But is that what you want? Or is there anything you can learn better, right? So it's not really setting yourself to the mindset of, I know it all, but I think what other people are doing, how can I learn? And when you have that sort of a mindset, you will always find something you can learn.
And I know that you are a big believer of also having some passions, purpose, and goals outside of work.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? Or?
Yeah, I think in the world where, I think especially if we speak about today, in the world where AI is a big talk, right? And I always say that AI itself will not survive. You need human augmentation, so you need AI plus HI, which is human intelligence, plus the leadership intelligence, LI. And when you look at it in this way, I think one of the important things is that the human and the leader within us needs a purpose to live. And what is a purpose? It's not a goal you have, right? It is bigger than a goal, because we're as human beings on a journey throughout our life. In our journey, we stop by different places, and probably where we stop by is an example of the goal we achieve, I would say. So the interesting thing about purpose is it's bigger than yourself. It's a way you think and you reset your mindset of exactly what's the world I like to live when I leave. When I'm gone, what's the impact I like to maybe seeing in my people, my community, my organization, and in fact my nation and the world I live. So I think it's very important people to have such. A lot of people don't have this and they don't know how to discover it. It's not an easy thing to do. I remember I spent 5 days in US in a retreat to discover my values and purpose. It was quite a deep process where you have to let go of all the issues you've been carrying. This was maybe when I was maybe 39 years old, just a bit short before 40 years. So I think it's an absolutely important step. Yeah.
And I like the fact that you said we have perhaps let go of some of the items that we hold on to. And I talk to myself about the surrender step.
Yeah.
Because how can we put in new healthy things in our life if our life is packed? And
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? How did that step look like?
No, I mean, we all, our life, I always say that we all will have failures and mistakes in our life. If we haven't had one, your chance will come. It's guaranteed. If you have not had a failure, you have not lived in life, which is you haven't really tried anything new, you haven't learned anything new, right? So I think because the best way to discover your purpose is to put your authentic self out there. And the authenticity comes from letting go of all the things you're holding within yourself, all the grudges you have, or the vengeance you feel that you have, all the situations you have had. It could be as simple as, for example, how your parents may have treated you, right? It could be how your co-workers have treated you, and you have left that workplace, but you haven't really made peace. I think if you were to live that meaningful life, you have to go back to. And they may not ask for forgiveness, or they may not even know. But you can say, hey, look, when I was in the workplace, this happened. You remember, right? This led me to leave. I just want you to know that I'm moved beyond. I forgive whatever happened. I just want to clear my mind. And sometimes you may not be able to tell that to them. Or maybe you find someone else to tell that, right? There are different programs, workshops, and retreats where you just go out there and cry and let this go. It is important because when you feel heavy, you cannot serve other people. It is. So you got to be light. You have to be very light in yourself, both in terms of physical, in terms of emotional, and also social. This thing, I mean, your wealth in these three are very important: physical, social, and of course mental.
Fantastic. It's what I call holistic leadership in my new book.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. And then you're right. I think you got to have a holistic approach around it. It's not like, okay, if you were to ask me, the perfect world or the perfect way I prefer myself to live is when I can have 100% alignment as what I say and speak and live by. I don't get it right sometimes, but my way of living where I'm aligning is how can I live by them, and I always go back to my values and say, oh look, I didn't live that value in that conference or that conversation yesterday. How can I go back, right? So I think it's an important element to have.
So we spoke about purpose, we spoke about values, we spoke about removing stuff, and as you said, we all go through challenges in our life.
Yes.
But especially for us men, many men, we grind through stuff, we keep it internally, and we only seek help when it's perhaps too late. It can be as easy as going to see a doctor when we're sick. We're keeping it secret and silent and so on. So what I'm getting at is vulnerability. And maybe take you back to some of the challenges that you have faced. What are your learnings? What have you learned through some of the tough times in your life?
Yeah, I think one of the most important thing is, like rightly you mentioned, we all go through tough time challenge. Right? It's how you learn it, but also one needs to know how to handle them, right? And of course, there's no 100% formula to say this is exactly how you have to handle this challenge or that challenge. It comes through experience, and I think the courage you need to have within yourself. So I've always learned that if we want to keep going in our life, right, we need to understand how we can cope with these challenges when it fails. So we got to have people that we can speak when we need. We need to have the courage to speak to them, or to the level or the limit that we want, right? Some people may not want to share their personal stories, or some people may not be comfortable, but how heavy that is, or can you share it? Maybe once you share, you feel a little bit lighter, right? And I think you also need to look at building that network of trusted mentors around. Because when it comes to mentoring, I think the mentors are people who probably will not judge you the way maybe even a friend may. Because if you share your personal stories with a friend who knows you, if he doesn't have the professional understanding of the help you need, he cannot help you. He can just listen and say, like that's the reason why sometimes you go and speak to our friends about somebody else who gives a hard time. And what does our friends do? They in fact join us to blame the other person. So you're not really solving the problem. What you have great mentors, what happens is they can listen to you. So I have mentors all around the world that I can call them and say, hey, look, I got this situation. What do you think? And of course, along the way, I've learned how to do this. Therefore, I am in a better position now to handle that by myself. But I think we all will go through situations that you've got to have. As a summary, I would say, number one, you need to have people that you can speak about it. Number two, you need to have the courage, to share with people. And of course, number three is about that line of network people, whether it's mentors or maybe of course coaching involves a little bit different formula here, but really trusted mentors, and you don't need to talk to them every day, but they're the people you can count on them.
Yeah. And my story, when I shared it about me going through, I I resigned from a job, filed for a divorce, got separated from my son. I used alcohol during that time to medicate myself to deal with my emotions or feelings. Has there been a time in your life when you've gone through a very difficult time, and what did you learn from that?
Yeah, I have had, obviously, because like I said, I teach this sort of stuff, and I've been training and teaching people for many years now. Even at the very early stage, I knew how to handle it. So I think the worst probably have been whereby for a month or so I found myself quite unproductive, delaying things, procrastinating, and this kind of thing. So immediately, I reminded myself that this is not the Afeef that people used to know. So I need to change, and I need to look at this. So I was able to and again, I think it was having the purpose to go back to that and say, look, this is the situation. Is this how you want, right, people to? And I remember reading from the leadership principles or the leadership book that was written by a historian called Doris Kearns Goodwin, which is one of the top historians in the world, in fact. So she writes about the US president. She wrote a book about Abraham Lincoln. So I think the story some of us know about Abraham Lincoln is that he was so much in depression that his closest people thought he's going to suicide or he's going to die, and he will do something so that he will die. And there's a story whereby his closest people would take all the for example, the items he used for shaving, razor blades and everything, because those days you have really manual razor blades. They would take them and hide it, thinking he may cut himself. Then later, Abraham Lincoln explained that no, I was never thinking to do that. Yes, I went through a tough time, depression, but every time I think about ending my life, which he said he had that thoughts, I always was thinking, have I done enough to the world ahead of me? If I have not done enough, why should I end my life? So that's when he realized I have a lot to do, and I will do a lot. And obviously then he ended up becoming, one of the greatest presidents in the US history. So I think we all will go through that tough time. So we need to have that bigger purpose ahead. And you could have 1 week or 2 weeks of downtime. Okay, fine, great. But then it will help you to step up and keep going. So that's really how I get through it. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that inspiring story. Indeed, it's about recognizing that and then going through it. And if any of the listeners today are going through a tough time, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I mean, by the way, it's the first thing is you're not alone. There are many other hundreds and thousands of people out there. I would also say that the loneliness is a choice we have. Yeah, it's a choice where you choose yourself to be lonely out there. You probably have people that you could speak about it, right? Or you could have things that you wanted to do. The first thing is start learning and understanding the patterns, right? For example, you have lots of things to do and you don't want to do it, and you feel like laying on the bed and not doing anything and wasting your day procrastinating, and it's a sign that you have a situation within yourself that you need to sort it out. So small steps, one thing at a time, right? Maybe you want to go outside or maybe you want to talk to people. But I think important thing is to reach out to people. And the worst thing we could do is not to do that, and then get ourselves into that deep, like a rabbit hole, where we won't even find a way to come out. So our life is the most precious thing we have, and we as human beings, we are all sent to do things much bigger, better than our present selves. I remember reading a book, and obviously I'm a big fan of Les Brown. I follow a lot of his teaching, and I also did a mentoring program with him for 12 months, which was very good experience. He said that the most richest place in the world is actually the graveyard, a cemetery. And why? Because cemetery are people whose dream never came true. Ideas within them that never became a reality. rich people who didn't use their wealth in the right way, poor people who just behaved that way, so they became even more poorer. That's the richest place, which simply means that we all, as human beings, we have so much to give out to the world. So the best thing is to start talking to someone, ask for help, and just don't ever give up. And I like these stories because I think it's a bit of anecdote into how there was this guy in Brazil. I learned this from John Maxwell. This guy in Brazil. He was a very good, I mean, in a financial profession, and one day he's lost his job, family is gone, he's alone for a couple of months, and one day he was about to end his life, and he was going out walking into main road, and he was in the mind of suicidal at the time, and he saw a bookstore, and outside the bookstore there was a book called Sometimes You Win, Sometimes You Learn. It's a book with red color by John Maxwell, and he has known John Maxwell leadership stuff before. So though he was in that mood, because he came out of his room, going for a walk, he found this book. He came inside the bookstore. He took the book, and at the time he only had about $20 for himself in his pocket. The book cost $7, and he paid. He bought the book. He started reading the book, apparently, just to do something. And as for the story goes, that's when he decided that I'm not done yet. And he turned himself back. He organized himself, like in your place, in your holistic approach, you called surrender. He surrendered himself. He put some discipline into himself, and the rest is history. The guy is still alive today. He is a venture capitalist for small businesses. I mean, amazing, right? So I think we all have that opportunity to turn around. But always remember, your current situation is not your future situation. It's a choice you have.
Yeah, and you talk about never giving up attitude, and I just saw on your social media you celebrating one of your teams you're supporting. You just won something up.
Yeah. Arsenal.
So tell me, what can we learn?
Well, I mean, there's so much to learn in the history of how Arsenal have really become one of the top teams in the world. I am a fan of Arsenal since 1980. Probably 89 maybe. So I was very young at the time. I was born in 1982, so one can imagine my age then. So I think one of the greatest thing you can learn about is that anyone can achieve something once great. You can become champion. But how can you replicate it for such a long time, right? So Arsenal, in fact, in the English Premier League, Arsenal is the third team still that have received the most trophies since its inception. I think Manchester United is number 1, number 2 is Liverpool, number 3 is Arsenal. English teams that have won most trophies. But since 2004, they never won a trophy as the Premier League champion. But they have been always on the top. In the last 10 years, they've been on 8, 6, 7, 5. The last 4 years, they've been on the 3, 2, and of course now 1. So I think one of the things we can learn is really about never giving up, and you don't get better overnight. You get better along the way. So you have to keep practicing, and you have to keep following up. You have to keep doing it. I mean, there's so much people can learn from this, right? Like if you want to be a professional speaker, you don't get your first $10,000, $15,000 in a month. You could get that after 10 years. That's how you have to believe in that. Otherwise, if you think you join an association for a day and then at the next month you should get a paid speaking gig, forget it. That's not for you, right? I mean, I got my first 5-figure speaking gig only after 10 years of doing professional speaking. So it takes time, right? So,
yeah. But looking at you also, Afeef, you are, I think, a role model for giving back. And I've been also looking at your social media before. You've done a lot of talks. You're there to give back to your community. I saw your talk in the largest professional speaking event in Asia recently, and it was about giving back. How important is that in your life?
I believe success is all about what we do for ourselves to get ourselves better. But significance is what we do for other people. In I don't think it's about a legacy. I think less about a legacy, but for me, it's all about how can I make other people better. And there's some, obviously, the world, this particular word has appeared now, or it is now spoken a lot, called regenerative leadership, which is simply about how can you leave this world, place, people, community, nation better than you found them. So that's really what I do. And if I always believe, I think you were in the talk and I repeatedly said this, what I wish for myself, I wish for you and for everybody else too. Perhaps the difference is the quality of the work we do, but I do wish, and I think the the power of giving back and the ability to do that is a very unique proposition one has. And one could build competitive advantage out of that. One could really benefit too. But I think the biggest beneficiary is always the community that we add value.
Yeah. And what's next for you in then, Afeef? You've been at LUX for 10 years plus, and you're in the professional speaking circuit. You're in the HR. You're supporting many communities. But what's your future?
I definitely don't plan to retire. I don't. I mean, why do you retire when you love what you're doing? I am going to add value to people, travel around the world, help communities, countries, nations, and really grow people. I think I really want to see more and more people start doing what we are doing, in the sense professional speaking, giving back. I mean, there are so many people who's got so many things, but they also want to give, but they don't know how to give. So how can I create platforms to give? So over the next few years, I certainly will bring more and more platforms like that, to in partnership with other people, and hopefully not just only in Maldives but elsewhere in the world. Whether it's Singapore, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, India, or elsewhere. But I think there's lots of opportunities where we can create that ecosystem, and that's really what I plan to do. And I think my vision for the world is that how can we make this world a better place. And yeah, the people who say, oh no, that's not right, it won't happen. And the great thing is that I never fancy myself as an extreme rich person. But of course, it doesn't mean that I'm going to be poor, because I've never had somebody who told me that I'm very happy and very poor. No, you got to have a reasonable income and way of living. But I think what I look forward for the world is whereby we can give more back to the community, and how to recreate that wealth, how to recreate people, and how to grow community. So yes.
And at the moment, the world is going through some challenges. There will always be challenges.
Yeah.
Tourism is a little bit down at the moment in the Maldives, even though it seems like it's picking up. Can you elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, of course, Maldives, because we're 70% plus national income comes from tourism, hospitality related business, whether it's resorts, guest houses, airports, liverboards, and all these other segments in the ecosystem. Of course, the regional conflicts have impacted heavily. I believe this quarter, especially April, May, June, Maldives will have its lowest occupancy recorded due to the cancellation of flights. I also believe that operators and owners and managed companies is the mindset we bring in, because yes, it is tough, but let's use this time to train our people. Let's send them back to their families so they can take some time, clear the leaves, maintenance. But most importantly, never forget that even the small number of guests that you have, look after them at the best. I think people tend to cut cost on, like even restaurants, they would reduce some items on the menu, right? And then sometimes people come and pay, you're not giving the best value for them, so would they return? I think in tough times we got to look after our guests, our people, look at the numbers too, but at the same time never ever forget why we started our business. It's not to close the business when it's tough time. You build resilience when you can elevate your business at the time. So here at LUX, we are very much focusing on retraining our team members, a complete focus on them. So there's nobody who will have time to waste or gossip. They have morning in duty, after training, if there's some activities. So you got to keep them engaged, right? Because time is money. So we don't want these 3 months to go. there's a very wise saying that never let a good crisis go waste, and we wouldn't do that.
Yeah. And we can double down on the marathon training.
Yeah.
You have any races coming up?
Yeah, I have played definitely the Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon.
Okay, and I know you have a secret formula in how to race a marathon in Singapore. Maybe you want to share with the listeners?
Well, yeah, to be honest, of course, I've done a few marathons, and yeah, sometimes you don't practice well for marathons. So I always say that, I mean, this is important. So if it doesn't make money for you, don't take it serious. Take it as a hobby. So I don't intend to be a professional athlete. So my run is my hobby, of my way of reflecting, meditation, all those things. If I were to do that, for sure I could go and even compete with Eliud Kipchoge, but then I have to limit other things I do. So sometimes when I'm not prepared well for a marathon, I would still run it. When we do a half marathon, 30 kilometers, full pace and speed, and I maybe will stop by in the 35th kilometer. Starbucks have 2 shots of double espresso, and maybe another 5 kilometer Haagen-Dazs 2 scoop of ice cream. I think one has to enjoy. I always say that the people who run with me, they also get the same medal as me. they did, because in the marathon, nobody cares anyone other than the person who actually becomes number one, right? Out of 60,000 people. So we shouldn't take ourselves too seriously at times.
Sounds like a good plan. I should try it in my next marathon. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, it's been wonderful to talk to you today, Afeef.
Thank you.
And anything I forgot to ask you? Anything you want to leave with the listeners?
I think we have covered a lot of things, but I believe we all need to look at how we can. The time is the biggest resource we have. So we wake up in the morning and we go to bed. In between, we spend probably 16, 17 hours, I guess, awake. And what are we doing with our time, right? So, one good question you can ask every day, is when you wake up, what good will I do today? What good will I bring to the world today? And when you retire to sleep bed every night, ask this question: did I do any good today? What good I did do today, right? Because it kind of helps you to think, what are you really trying to do? Because a lot of people, they don't have this direction, so days are wasted, time is wasted. So don't waste time. Time is money, and just look after yourself, because nobody's coming to save you. You got to save yourself, and the world needs you. So I think that's my parting message to all of you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you.
I have a gift also for the library here. The
Cool.
book,
Yeah.
Loneliness.
Beautiful. Thank you. We will definitely have this book. It was the greatest book, I think. I remember getting a copy of this book a few years ago, I think, when we first met. Yes. And life has been great. And I love this view, because this is right in Singapore Marina Bay. Very cool spot. So thank you. Thank you for giving the book again.
Thank you so much. And thanks to all the listeners as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye for now.